My name is Gerald Stapleton. My first name, given to me by my parents, was Basil, and I had so much trouble at school with Basil, so I elected to have Gerald, which is my second name. I first was interested in the Air Force in '36 when Alan Cobham's Air Circus came to our school and landed on the football field. They were all biplanes, and my brother had joined the Air Force, my elder brother, and we'd always been in competition, so I decided to join it. I joined it in January '39, and the people who joined it at the same time, at the same age, I was 18 and a half when I joined, we were very lucky having a year's training, virtually a year's training on all Tiger Moths, Hearts, or Daxes. They're bigger biplanes. And then we went to an operational training unit where we went on to Harvards and Hurricanes. After that, you were posted to a squadron. I was initially posted to 32 Squadron at Biggin Hill, and then was posted to 603. And we had older chaps there who'd been flying in peacetime with the squadron. These were the people we felt sorry for because they had families, wife, children, and they were the first ones to go. They were good pilots, but they weren't good combat pilots because we'd never had any experience. Although we did shoot a couple of German aircraft down in Scotland, they were bombers. They weren't dealing with fighters. None of us were, until we learned how to deal with them. In that period of time, we had quite a few casualties. And 603 went down to Hornchurch in late August 1940. And that's when we became engaged with the Battle of Britain. We didn't have any idea of combat against a large fleet of bombers and fighters. We started flying in threes, and 3 aeroplanes cannot stay together. 2 can. So after very bad casualties in the first week, we started flying in finger fours. When we say finger fours, we mean that formation, exactly like that. 2 and 2. And our casualties then started to drop. Radar would identify foreign aircraft, but they couldn't identify what models they were. They didn't know whether they were bombers or fighters. So until they crossed the coast where the observer corps on the ground could say, those are bombers and those are fighters, and phone that information back to control, we were sitting on the ground waiting for us to be scrambled. And then all we had to do was climb for height. They already had height. They had their operational height. And that was a disadvantage we found ourselves in. The one advantage we did have was that Germans were flying over enemy territory. We lost over 500 pilots in the Battle of Britain, but we lost over 800 aircraft. The crash landed in Britain, but the pilots were okay. The German pilots weren't. They were taken prisoner of war. And that's one of the reasons why the Battle of Britain had the outcome it had. There was no dogfighting. It was in and out. And reform, the leader of your flying unit would say, right, we'll reform over Hornchurch or Biggin Hill at 20,000 feet. And then you'd get a few of the aircraft in the squadron to get over Biggin or Hornchurch, reform and go back and see if there's anything you could find. But there wasn't one German bomber formation that was stopped before it got to its target. They were all shot down going home. There's the time element again. That's when they were shot down. The longer it went on, the more you were untouchable. You know, you'd have friends killed and that sort of thing, but why you were lucky you didn't answer any questions. And I know some people who were guilty of surviving. Don't include me among that lot. I wasn't guilty of surviving. And it was pure luck that anybody in the Air Force survived. Skill, that amount, but that's all. And I was shot down once. That cannon shell could have come through my fuselage and hit the armor plate behind me, and it throws the armor plate forward. And it would have thrown me forward, and I wouldn't have been able to get out of the aeroplane. But it was lucky that it wasn't through the fuselage. It was lucky it was in the wing. I was taken prisoner of war. I was shot down in Germany. And no blood. I jumped out of a Spitfire at night, was shot down during the Battle of Britain, was shot down in Germany in typhoons. No wounds. If that's not lucky, I'd like to find out what is. We had a very narrow view of the whole thing. And when you're 20 years old and in a Spitfire, it was exhilarating. You're firing at an airplane. No question of firing at a body. You can't see the people. And I think pilots were relieved when they saw a parachute. Didn't matter which side it was. You know, that was a good thing that the chap got out. And you didn't have time for regrets. And if you thought it was going to happen to you, you wouldn't have been any good, would you? You can see that. If you were scared, and you always thought, it'll never happen to me. It didn't.
You can teach monkeys to fly better than that.
Going into London with 24 hours off, from 12 to 12, going to a nightclub where you had to belong to a wine club to get liquor, and then going on to a Turkish bath where you'd get there around about 11 o'clock. You'd have a Turkish bath, sweat in the steam room, a cold plunge. Upstairs, you'd have a cot to sleep in after a massage. And by God, you felt good the next day. Those are the things that I remember.